So at this point, some of you may be thinking, okay, David, I'm clear. Netanyahu's government is off the rails. These guys aren't just right. They're not just far right. They're not just further right. They are off the charts. Racist right. But surely, you started off the talk mentioning all these corruption charges against Netanyahu. I mean, surely he must be 1 foot out the door. If they indict, then he'll be replaced. And another party will come into power. Surely there must be an alternative to Netanyahu. What happens on the day he's toppled? And I'm here to tell you that don't get your hopes up. Because even if that happens, first of all, the polls show that despite all these allegations against Netanyahu and all these police investigations, seemingly the Israeli electorate is standing by him, and polls show that he looks to be reelected, even if elections are called. But let's say he's ousted. Who will he be replaced by? What's the alternative? I'm sad to say, not much better. So this is Avi Gabay. He was recently elected to be the leader of the Labour Party, the so-called centrist party that ruled Israel for the first few decades of its existence, and now they're in the opposition. And so with Gabay at the helm, again, just a few of the statements that he's made in the last few months so you can get a sense of the alternative that he offers Israelis. First of all, he says, we will not share a government with the Joint List, period. Let that be clear. So the Joint List is the party of the Palestinian citizens of Israel. Okay? Palestinian citizens of Israel, as I said, 20-25% of the country are citizens of Israel, and as such ostensibly have the right to participate. As much as Netanyahu incites against them, they still on paper have the right to participate in Israeli elections. But the people that they elect to represent them, this so-called centrist says, I will never sit in a government with them. I won't even consider it. Let that be clear. He says, I don't deal with the rights of Palestinians. Okay, so what do you deal with, Mr. Gabay? Talking about settlements in the occupied West Bank, Jewish-only settlements, he calls them the beautiful and devoted face of Zionism. Talking about a peace deal and those settlements, he says, if a peace deal is made, why do we need to evacuate settlements? He says, I am for settlement blocks, which would include 420,000 settlers from the 480,000. So 88% of the settlers he wants to stay there in occupied Palestine. So this is his vision. This is the centrist alternative to Netanyahu. So much for the two-state solution, right? He's supposedly, ostensibly calling for a two-state solution, but the solution he's talking about is one that Palestinians can never agree to because it's not a two-state solution. It's a, 1 3/4 or 1 1/2 or 1 1/4 state solution. It leaves Palestinians with just Bantustans, with no sovereign state to call their own. That's his solution. Now, he also has some choice words to say about secular Jews, his base. You would think that he would, speak admiringly of secular Jews, but no, because in his effort to get elected, he's trying to appeal to the racist right. He's trying to outflank Netanyahu from the far right. So as over the years, it's, this hasn't started just in recent years. For quite a time, we see even when Netanyahu was first elected to power in 1996, he made it a habit of meeting with some of these rabbis who command large followings. Like this man, he's a revered Kabbalist, Rabbi Kaduri. And so on the eve of the election, Netanyahu would go meet with him and ask for his blessing, with the idea that if this famous, well-loved rabbi blesses him, then all of the rabbi's supporters would also vote for Netanyahu. So back in the day, Netanyahu would say, the left, you should give me your support, Rabbi, because the left, they forgot what it means to be Jewish. They don't know, they're not real Jews. They've forgotten what it means to be Jews. So, that's scandalous enough to delegitimize an entire swath of the population, but now it's not only Netanyahu making these claims. Gabay, in his efforts to, pick off a few votes from the racist right, he says, in 1997, Bibi said that the left has forgotten what it means to be Jewish. Do you know what the left did in response? Forgot how to be Jewish. So now he's joining in with Netanyahu. He's legitimizing this discourse, saying, yes, we have to be religious, we have to be racist, we have to be right-wing. And Gabay isn't charting out some kind of centrist course. He's adopting all of the racist right's discourse. So now, again, I won't get a chance to talk about this too much. I did mention African refugees. And without saying too much about them, we're talking about tens of thousands of people who, as I said, fled Eritrea, fled Sudan, fled ethnic cleansings, fled authoritarian governments. They're fleeing all over the world. It's mainly developing nations that are hosting them. But as you know, here in Norway and other parts of Europe, people are fleeing in every direction and they're trying to find asylum. And so in recent years, tens of thousands have reached Israel. Now, the government, for years, has been waging a war on them. It's rounded them into camps. It's incited racism against them. And now it's saying, we're going to kick you out of the country. So people are protesting in the streets. They're saying, please don't send us back to the tortures we fled from. But Gabay is adopting the position of Netanyahu. He's agreeing with them. And he's saying, yep, we need to support the government. We need to kick out all the African refugees. Of course, not every Israeli supports that. Some Israeli Jews remember that we too, for a great part of our history, were refugees as well. It seems that it's Gabay who forgot what it means to be Jewish, not secular Jews, not the left. It seems that he's forgotten what it means to be a Jew.